Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. And it kind of sucks. The first pod coming after the first slate of games, 3-game slate, is going to be a pissed pod. Yeah, it really sucks that it's a pissed pod. So, like, if you got somebody that you're pissed at, under the video, after you've liked, subscribed, shared, go ahead and let us know who pissed you off tonight. I've got not a long list of people that pissed me off, but I got enough people on that list. God, man. Well, we saw some interesting stuff tonight. We saw in the earlier game, we saw LeBron assert his dominance. We saw the Cleveland Cavaliers starters play well into the fourth quarter after the game was already in hand. We saw Kyrie have a big second half. We saw LeBron go triple-double. We saw that the Knicks still have not figured out how to successfully run the triangle offense. We saw that LeBron could not stop Carmelo. Carmelo could not stop LeBron. Porzingis was really promising. But the main thing that we saw was how right on DraftKings started out with the pricing. And normally when new DFS sports roll around, the pricing is kind of soft. You can, the scores are a lot closer. I mean, of course, there's still winners and losers, but the scores themselves are always a little bit closer because, they haven't gotten the values particularly correct on everybody yet. But we saw in tonight, that little 3-game slate, man, they were dead on, man. The guys who really performed, cost a lot. The guys who we knew kind of we were taking a shot in the dark and wasn't really going to do well, they didn't. We looked at, Trey Lyles in Utah, as well as Dante Exum, the two guys that I kind of like coming into the day. They were very cheap in salary. Kyle Anderson was this value, this tremendous value that opened up, and he sucked. He sucked. Dame Lillard went all the way off. LeBron went all the way off. Kevin Love had a great game. So the guys who were supposed to perform, the one thing that did kind of throw me for a loop, and I did tweet about this, one of our followers in the sweatshop, we were going back and forth about it. It was the ownership on Durant. I mean, I thought, like, with all the hoopla surrounding a player that good going into Golden State and then playing San Antonio Spurs, I thought he would be probably the highest owned, second highest owned player on the slate after LeBron James, of course, of the big names, because everybody was on Trey Lyles. He was like 30, almost 40% owned in some GPPs I was in. I hope you took my advice and you didn't go very hard. You kind of stayed light. And this is a long season. This is a grind. The NBA grind is very long. We stick to the rules. 10% of our bankroll we spend each night, right? 20% of that I put in the bigger tournaments. Trying to maybe my cash game lineup or my single entry lineup is so good that I can take down or really place high in the GPP. So I may play one or two of those, but we want to stick to a method, a proven method that's going to work, and so our bankroll can survive the entire NBA season. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. I had a down today, but I didn't invest very much. Actually enjoyed watching all the games, even though my Knicks got their asses whipped. So it was a learning experience, and we're going to move forward, okay? Now, first thing we're going to do is, and I'm never going to get tired of saying this because I care about you all. I want y'all to get to this money, and I'm going to repeat this time and time again. Actually, I'm bringing them to you. If you don't have the means or the method to go out and check the Vegas lines, do whatever you got to do, I'm going to bring them to you. I'm going to tell you every day where to target your players, okay? Now, we're going to go through game by game. We've got an awesome 10-game slate tomorrow. Of course, Wednesday is going to be like that. They did a little moving around with the schedules to where we're not going to have those 2-game slates all the time like we did last year in some spots. They're going to be 3-game slates at the least. And you can get to the money in these 3-game slates. Somebody did. It wasn't me. Hope it was you. First game we're going to get into is going to be the Miami Heat at the Orlando Magic. This is a 201 point total. That's respectable. That's respectable in the beginning of the season. And you know, let's be real about it. The Vegas line makers, they have just about as much knowledge of what's going to happen in the games as we do, because I'm sure nobody saw Golden State getting beat the way they did tonight, soundly, by San Antonio Spurs. And didn't the Spurs just look younger? They just look younger. I think that's the team they showed me tonight, that they've got some young talent, some young players that the prices are going to have to catch up to. So we should ride along. Because honestly, I put in quite a few lineups, maybe about 5 or 6 different variations of lineups, and I just, stars and scrubs. I stack stars and scrubs. Small slates, you do that. And I stacked every team. I stacked it. I had a Utah stack that did pretty well. It cashed. It didn't do well. It cashed. I had a Utah stack that cashed. I had the Cleveland stack that cashed. Tristan Thompson, pissed. If his name, I'm not even going to go into their names. If the name comes up in the conversation, I'm going to tell you I'm pissed at them. That's how mad. So I had a Tristan Thompson that was in there, pissed me off. And I had the Utah stack with, but I had everybody. This is what pissed me off. I had everybody in my Utah stack but Joe Johnson. And didn't he go off? God damn. Joe Johnson went off tonight. But anyway, let's get back to the game. This is Orlando Magic. Now, you've got Whiteside. He is probably going to be one of the higher owned players because of all the big names, of all the Karl Anthony Townses and the Anthony Davises and the Boogie Cousins. He's the cheapest. He's the cheapest. But he has just as much, if not more, upside than they do, because they're playing against an Orlando Magic team that I believe is 26th ranked DVOA against the Sinners, and this dude is a rebound machine. So I think he is where I'm gonna start a lot of my lineups. He's gonna be in a lot of my lineups. So there's not much on the Miami side that I really like. You've got Goran Dragic at point guard. On the other side of the ball, you've got Elfrid Payton. Vucevic is always a really good play. Now, I know one of my partners was saying on FanDuel, Ibaka was like 4,800, so everybody jump on that now. Go ahead and get on it now, because that's going to change. Yeah, Ibaka was 4,800. We know that Biyombo is out, so that's going to see an increase in minutes for Ibaka. You're going to see an increase in minutes for Vucevic, of course. So this could be a good game. It's going to be in Orlando, and they have a really good home crowd, and Orlando does play well at home. So that may be a pretty good game to target as far as you're looking for bigs, because something that you're going to notice on this slate, there's no value unless it's a big. There's no value, no legit value. Nobody that it's 4,300. Oh, a guard. I feel good rolling this guy out there. There's nobody like that. We're gonna continue to get in that as we go deeper into the slate. Next game we're gonna talk about is the Dallas Mavericks and the Indiana Pacers. Now, the Dallas Mavericks are getting 6.5 in this game. This is a 206 over under. And anytime you get the overs that are approaching 2 teens, like 210, 220, 215, that's something that you want to pay attention to, because it'd be good for you to get players in those spots. I like this game a lot because Dallas runs. They're a running team. They'll go, and I believe that Indiana can keep up with them. Paul George, while Dallas plays well against small forwards, Paul George is one of those elite talents that you can just, you can play him anywhere, right? So we're looking at the Dallas Mavericks. They've got an old, ragged point guard who is probably one of the cheaper starting guards on the slate with Darren Williams. He's gonna be playing. He's gonna be out there. His backup, JJ Barea, is hurt. He's questionable, so that may lead to more floor time for Darren Williams. We know that George Teague was traded to Indianapolis from the Atlanta Hawks, and Teague looks like a good play. He really does, because I really don't think that Darren Williams can keep up with George Teague. So he's somebody that I do have my eye on. I kind of like George Teague. One of my favorite plays in this game for a mid-level price is going to be Thaddeus Young. This dude is a freaking monster. I liked him a lot when he was with the Brooklyn Nets last year. He was a offensive rebound putback monster. Like, dude is legit. He's legit, and his price is going to catch up soon, because playing on this team, I mean, we've got Miles Turner, who is pretty good. Of course, Paul George, who wants to get out there and transition, and I really like. I'm gonna like him all year long. Thaddeus Young is a monster, bro. He is really a great player too. I think he's gonna make an all-star team or two if he keeps up, what he's doing. The next game we're gonna talk about is gonna be the Brooklyn Nets against the Boston Celtics. Now this game is interesting because it has a 211.5 over-under. That's an implied point total, both of 211 points. But the Boston Celtics are favored by 13.5. So what this is telling me, that there's going to be some scrub love in this game. And that's what we're looking for. When we find a game with this high point total that we really feel it can be a blowout and we're going to get that scrub love, we automatically start scouring the team that has the higher point total and seeing what they have on their bench. Do they have players that they want to see play? Do they have guys that they want to get out there and see, what he's got? Do they have any rookies? And you got anybody that changed teams that's coming off the bench that they want to work into the rotation? And while looking at this, what I found is Terry Rozier. Now, I followed him during the preseason. Of course, got League Pass, so I was able to watch him play. He is pretty good. Terry Rozier is a pretty good player. I think if you want to go and pay up in other areas, you look at Marcus Smart being out. Marcus Smart plays behind Isaiah Thomas. Now, to spell Isaiah Thomas, they're going to bring in the rookie Terry Rozier. I like him at 3.2K. He is somebody you can get in your lineups and will allow you to have the capital to pay up in other areas. So I'm gonna have some Terry Rozier in my lineup because of the injury to Marcus Smart. He's a rookie. This is a high point total. It's probably going to be a blowout, so he's going to see some scrub love, okay? Now, we've got the Brooklyn Nets on the other side of the ball. This team is a freaking dumpster fire. Like it or not, Jeremy Lin is probably one of the better players on this team. I don't have any interest in rostering anyone from the Brooklyn Nets. Just to throw a few names out there, I know you've got the small forward. That was pretty good. He kind of reminds me of Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. He's more of a defensive player, but I mean, I have zero interest in rostering anybody from this team. Next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Detroit Pistons at the Toronto Raptors. This is a 195 point total, and you've got the Detroit Pistons getting 7.5. So, a lot of times this year, I'm going to tell you fire up. I'm going to tell you fire up Eric Handa. And when I tell you that, I want you to take Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan and build a lineup around those two guys. This is not one of those times. These are two of the better defensive teams in the league against the perimeter play, against point guards, against shooting guards. However, DeRozan probably would be the only play that I would see if I'm looking to the backcourts in this game. Kyle Lowry is an excellent point guard, but I really don't think that I would be going anywhere in this game. You've got Ish Smith on the other side, who's a pretty good defender. I believe Reggie Jackson is the original starting point guard, but he's been out for a little while. Of course, you've got Andre Drummond, who is a rebound machine, going up against Giannis Valanciunas. I don't think there's going to be enough sexiness there. I think there's better plays. I really do. We talked about Whiteside. I mean, why take a chance on Drummond in a minus matchup when I have Whiteside in a plus matchup? This is not like football. See, a lot of times in football, for that reason, the ownership is going to be so low that I would go Drummond if this was football. But in basketball, you don't want to take that chance. It takes, a split second to be totally separated from the field and be stuck, okay? We can find better plays in other spots. There's more guys that we can roster, so we don't have to take a chance on starting Drummond and passing up on Whiteside. So I will be probably completely fading this game. I don't want to have anything to do with the Detroit side or the Toronto side. Next game we're going to get into is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Memphis Grizzlies. This is a 199 point total. You're going to learn this year that when the Grizzlies are home, it's the grindhouse. They play tough. The only perimeter players in Memphis, oppositional perimeter players in Memphis, are not really a great way to go. We talk about Zach LaVine, Ricky Rubio, these guys. For some reason, man, the grindhouse is a tough place to play on a perimeter. If you're going to get it anywhere, it's going to be down low. In this game, you've got Karl Anthony Towns, who I think may be a good play. You've also got Zach Randolph, who's probably going to be a good play coming off of the bench. On the other side, you've got Marc Gasol as well. He's lost about 30 pounds. So he's slim, he's fit, he's ready to go. So if you wanted to touch this game, I would suggest maybe a big, maybe starting with a big man. Unless you wanted to be contrarian, because Mike Conley just got that new contract. He's a player that I think can definitely take advantage of Ricky Rubio, because Ricky Rubio plays no defense at all. So if I'm going anywhere in this game on the perimeter for either team, I would go Mike Conley, and of course Big Cat. He always gets consideration. This dude is a generational talent. He's a beast. So. But remember, it's a 199 point total, and we've got other games on the slate that are much higher with much worse defenses, and they're strictly offense, and they're going to run and they're going to score. Okay, so you don't have to touch this game. This is not a game that you have to get locked into. The next game I'm going to talk about is the Charlotte Hornets at the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a 192 over/under, partially because Milwaukee is such a bad scoring team, but the only thing is, all of the scoring seems to go through one guy. Now we know they just traded Michael Carter-Williams to Chicago for Tony Snell. You'll never roster Tony Snell if you're smart. Maybe twice, 2 or 3 times a year. You'll roster him, but yeah, Tony Snell is a bum. But Giannis, man, he's in play, and I believe at 8,800. He's somebody that you can get 50 out of. Like this dude is like a 50 bomb waiting to happen. He's a really good player. I don't know how he would match up against Nick Batum, because they would potentially guard each other, and Batum is very similar to Giannis in what he means to the team. Now he's not anything all athletic as him, but what he means to the team as a facilitator, a guy who can step outside and maybe knock down the jump shot when he needs to, can go in, do some rebounding, pass the ball. They're very similar players. So honestly, if I had to take a wing in this game, I would take Batum at the discount. I would take Nick Batum at the discount. Now, because he's going to have other players around him to help. Now we know Chris Middleton is out. Chris Middleton is going to be out until maybe March. So I really don't see Milwaukee being a formidable opponent for the Charlotte Hornets, but I don't see the Charlotte Hornets blowing them out. So we can get a lot of run out of the good players in both games. I like Kemba Walker in this game. I like Nick Batum in this game. I think this is one of the only lower total games that you can actually get some exposure to where others may not. Most people are going to look at this point total and say, nah, I'm not messing with that. But I think you can get some really good points out of here, especially since Nick Batum is one of those players that he's involved in almost every play on the court. So keep your eye on Nick Batum. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Denver Nuggets at the New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans Pelicans. All right. Now, this game is a 207 point total. Both are not very good defenses, but they have a few good defensive players in terms of rebounding. You're gonna get a starts from both of the big guys. You're gonna get Nurkic and you're gonna get Jokic starting against Anthony Davis. Now, I'm gonna tell you about Anthony Davis. This dude is a monster. And he is a monster in 2 respects. Number one, he can do anything on the basketball court. We remember last year, 50 points, 20 rebounds, almost like 92 DraftKings points. That is monster. But he will get hurt. He will get hurt and he will leave the game. He will score 10 points and get 8 boards in the first rebound, and he will tweak a knee and leave the game. So you've got to beware and get as much usage as you can out of him right now before the injuries start. Because with him, once they start, they linger. Blah, 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 he's hurt all year long. So I'm going to jump on Anthony Davis. First chance I get, I'm going to play. I really like Anthony Davis, especially in this. This is a plus matchup for him. I really like Anthony Davis in this game. I like Tim Frazier in this game. He's very cheap. I think at 4.8K, I believe. He should be starting at point guard. You've got Moutier on the other side of the ball. Now, these are sloppy defensive teams, so there's going to be some points scored. The total is 207. So I like Moutier. I like Will Barton a lot. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to be coming off the bench like he did last year, or to be that spark plug, or if he's going to be in a starting rotation. I know like Gary Harris is out, so he may be starting. So I like Will Barton. I can use a few pieces from this game, especially with a 207 point total. Anything over 200, man, is something that we can really look at. So, of course, Gallinari, he didn't play much during the preseason. Not so much because of injury, but because of rest. So I think that you can also fire up Gallinari in this game. They're both poor perimeter defending teams. And I mean, this could be a game that we really see. We see a lot of points scored from that game. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, Oklahoma City is giving Philadelphia 8.5. This is a 208 point total. So Westbrook is always in play. He's going to be he's going to be the highest priced player on most slates this year, just because he's there by himself and there's really no one else. And the only people that's on the team are people to him to pass to. And if they score, he still is going to score. You know what I mean? I really like Cantor coming off the bench. I really wish he was in the starting role. I wish Adams was not starting and Cantor was starting. But I like Cantor in this matchup. I don't like Oladipo. I just don't like Oladipo. On the other side of the ball, I like Rashawn Holmes. I think he's going to be good. You got to keep your eye on Jahlil Okafor. He's going to be limited in his minutes. He's going to see no more than 15 minutes. Joel Embiid is also going to be limited in his minutes. That opens up the door for Jeremy Grant and Rashawn Holmes. This game also has blowout potential, so you're going to see some scrub love in this game. You're going to see scrub love in this game, right? So I like Sabonis to play some minutes. I like Ilyasova to play a lot of minutes in this game on the Oklahoma City side. And I mean, you can take your chance with you know, spending 11.5, I think 11.5, 11.1K on Westbrook. I'm not doing it. I feel insulted. It's the first game of the. I feel insulted. I'm not gonna pay 11,000 for you, bro. Like, are you kidding me? It's like James Harden is on the same slate against the Lakers. I'm not playing, and that game may be competitive enough. The Rockets are just that bad that maybe let the Lakers stay in the game, and Harden gives me 47 minutes. I'm not gonna play you in what may be a blowout. I'm not gonna do that. So I'm moving on. Next game. Now this is where we get into the late slates, and I'm gonna tell you something about slate variance. Excuse me. I'm gonna tell you something about slate variance. It is always good to try to tweak and do small hedges when it comes to slates. You don't see, this is like NFL. You don't have to get into a whole Thursday through Monday slate. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to get into a whole like all night NBA slate. You can play the smaller ones too. You can play the late. You can play the later. You know what I mean? Give yourself some trap doors, so if what happens earlier doesn't pan out for you, it does later on that night. That's actually one of the lineups that I cashed in, because I ended up starting. I pivoted off of Exum and I had Shelvin Mack in the later games. So if he didn't do well, Shelvin Mack did well. So I ended up cashing in that game. So be very you know, knowledgeable about the slate and have slate awareness. That's what we call it, slate awareness. Slate awareness. All right. So next game we're going to talk about They're going to be the Sacramento Kings taking on the Phoenix Suns. This game has fantasy goodness written all over it. You've got high point totals. Not only is a point total high, but the difference in between the two is very small. Phoenix has only given up 2.5 points to Sacramento. We know both of these teams are pace-up teams. They're going to get out, they're going to run. Transition is a part of their game plan. So I believe this is stack potential, full game stack potential. I like Booker in this game. I like Bledsoe in this game. I even like TJ Warren at 4.2K. He's somebody that you can get in your lineup, which will allow you to pay up in other spots. Okay. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the Charlotte game. The Charlotte game. Keep your eye on Spencer Hawes. He's at minimum salary 3K. He's the only. I scoured everything. He's the only minimum salary player that I would play. I would roll out there with confidence because Cody Zeller is out, as well as this is the Charlotte Hornets playing Milwaukee. As well as what's his name? Can't remember his name, but I know Cody Zeller was out, and it's another dude. He's very similar to Spencer Hawes. Damn, can't remember his name, but he's out too. So look out for Spencer Hawes because he could be a big time value play. He can shoot the three as well as rebound. So he may be a big time value play that would allow you to pay up elsewhere. Oh, back to the Sacramento game. Now, starting at point guard, we know Darren Collison like to hit the chicks, so he won't be playing for the first 8 games. So in comes any mixture of Aaron Aflalo, who's horrible, Ben McLemore, who shows flashes of brilliance every now and again, and then you've also got, Boogie is going to be a big thing this year. He's always in play. I like Boogie. On the other side of the ball, you got Alex Lynn. You've got Tyson Chandler, and these are cheaper mid-level plays, but you got to watch out for. I like Bledsoe. I like Booker. I don't like Brandon Knight. I'm just sorry. I just cannot get into Brandon Knight. And there's going to be a battle at small forward. We talked about this guy, TJ Warren, a little bit earlier. But there's going to be a battle for small forward all year long between him and Tucker. They both can get quality minutes and be on the floor a lot of times at the same time. So he's somebody that I think you may be able to look at as far as, get you some salary, some cap relief to go up and pay for somebody else. Now, the next game I'm going to talk about, just to make sure we got okay. And don't forget that Sacramento Phoenix game is a 212 over-under. Next game we're going to talk about is going to be the highest over-under of the night, probably the most targeted game. Probably the most targeted game of the night. I know I'm going to have some shares of this game. I'm going to have plenty of shares of this game, different variations. It's a 10-game slate, so hopefully everybody won't be so on this game that it would give me, a little bit of area to separate myself. You've got the Houston Rockets going to LA, playing the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a 224.5 point total. That is the highest point total on the slate. It is a -6.5 in favor of the Houston Rockets, so they're going to be giving up 6.5 points. Harden is my play of the day. I'm going Harden. I love Harden in the spot. I love Harden in LA. Every time he's in LA, I love him in LA. I really believe that we can play this entire backcourt, this Houston backcourt. We know Patrick Beverly is out. I think he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. In comes Eric Gordon. I saw them play a lot during the preseason. They have a very good chemistry. Harden is kicking out. He's kicking the ball out to Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon is knocking down the jumper now. Eric Gordon at 5K. That's a great value. That's a great value. That price is not going to stay that way for long. It's really not. I like Eric Gordon. I like Trevor Ariza in this game. I like Clint Capella. I like a full-on Houston stack. I really do. On the other side of the ball, we've got the young point guard, D'Angelo Russell. He's had a pretty good preseason. If you've been paying attention, you've seen him do some things in the preseason. He looked pretty good. At 7.3K, he's definitely somebody you could consider. You've got Jordan Clarkson, who I heard reports today that he's going to be coming off the bench. Now, I don't know how much that's going to affect his actual minutes, because their coaching is so wild that you really don't know exactly how it's going to go down. So I like Jordan Clarkson. He's actually my favorite player on that team. He's the most reliable, dependable player on that team. Lou Williams, his time is come and gone. I don't see him being very good. Nick Young, Swaggy P, is going to come off the bench and chuck up 4 or 5 threes before they sit him back down. Julius Randle is going to bowl over people, snatch a few rebounds, maybe score 10 points. You might get a double-double out of him. Because there's going to be a lot of shots in this game. With this many points, it's going to be a lot of shots, a lot of missed shots, a lot of rebounds. That's why I like Clint Capella so much in this game. Cheapies, outside of Eric Gordon, there's not a lot of like value play that I see in this game. So I did give you 3 cats that you can get in your lineups and give you some salary relief. You've got Spencer Hawes from Charlotte. Be on the lookout for that. We've got who's my other cat? We've got Terry Rozier from Boston, and I've got to say I do love Avery Bradley and Isaiah Thomas too. And there was one more guy that I really liked. Was it Tim Frazier at I think 4.8K. He's the starting point guard for the New Orleans Pelicans. And I also like Omri Caspi too from Sacramento. He's somebody that you may be able to get in your lineups, fit in there, and do some really some good stuff with that too. Now Thursday's slate is going to be a 4-game slate, which is pretty good because this time last year it was 2 games and it sucked. It was going to be a 4-game slate Thursday, so I will be coming back to you with a pod about that. And tonight's boss of the night was definitely LeBron James, but it was close because Dame really took over in the second half in the Utah and Portland game. I may have given it to Joe Johnson too, because I didn't know a man that old could do what he was doing, and he looked really good. So man, we finally got out the way. The first NBA first day, got through that 3-game slate together. Tomorrow, let's go out 10 games. Let's do research. Let's follow the beat writers all day on Twitter. Let's keep our ears open, keep our eyes focused on the goal of cashing heavy and developing that big sweat one of these days. I am your DFS Jerusalem. This has been the Daily Fantasy Sweatshop NBA DFS edition. Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful Wednesday, and let's get this money.